want you to do is all you guys sitting down here in the first 2 rows, take a deep breath. The hard part's over. Tonight we celebrate, okay? So for the next few minutes, I actually have about 20, maybe 25 minutes to speak to you. I see a couple of preachers in the audience. I know we got a real good one up here on the front row. I was taught years ago not to look at my watch. They told me to put a piece of candy in my mouth that I knew how long it took to melt. So I had 20-minute mints. I had 30-minute mints. I even had a 1-hour mint. I was in St. Louis, Missouri about 6 months ago. I had a 1-hour program, so I put a 1-hour mint in my mouth. At the end of my presentation, I knew I was getting toward the end, but the mint was still almost whole. So I thought, well, maybe I spoke a little faster than I normally do, or maybe I missed a point I wanted to make. Well, I noticed people kind of getting antsy, so I turned around. I spit that mint out of my hand. It was a button off my sports coat. I quit using that trick. Tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about lessons I learned from my hat. You guys are going to wear a lot of different hats as firefighters. And I want you to think about, as I go through my presentation, how you might handle yourself in those situations where you wore those different hats. Now, I have a few props with me tonight. We learn more, particularly as adults, by what we see rather than what we hear. Would you agree with that? I'm going to prove that to you. I want everybody in the audience to put their hand in the shape of an OK sign. Now put it over your head, twirl it around, and put it against your chin. Your chin's down here. I proved it, right? I do want to talk to you just a few minutes about the hats that we wear, the hats that I've worn, and what influence those hats might have had on me, and what I might learn from them through an early age up to an old man. I learned from the hats that I've worn, and I still apply those concepts every day. Every day in my professional life, every day in my personal life. And the first hat that I remember was probably an old hat that looked about like this. It was my fishing hat. It was a hat that I got in the old John boat that my grandpa had rented down in Black Lake, or he called it Bristino. He never could pronounce Bristino. We get in that old John boat. He probably gave a couple of dollars a day for it. We had a 9.5 horse engine on the back. We didn't have fancy equipment, but we caught a lot of fish because Grandpa knew where the honey hole was. He did his homework. He did his research. He knew where the sweet spot was. You got to know where your sweet spot is. You got to know where your strengths are. You got to know where your weaknesses are. And you got to play upon those strengths, and you got to try to build upon those weaknesses. But you also have to understand it's more important to develop those strengths and let somebody else take care of those weaknesses than it is for you to try to develop those points that you're weak in. I learned a lot from my grandfather and my dad when we fished. I learned patience. I learned that you didn't always have to have the best equipment. Like I say, Grandpa always rented the boat. We had an old 9.5 horse engine, and I also learned that sometimes you shouldn't make decisions whenever you're stressed out. I remember one time we were fishing and the old Elgin wooden crank. We were in the middle of Black Lake. My daddy reached down and he undid the bolts on the transom and he threw that motor right in the bottom of Black Lake. My grandfather looked at him and said, "Now, why did you do that?" He said, "It'd be a lot easier to paddle that boat back to the bank without that motor on the back of it." So sometimes you learn those lessons, but that probably wasn't a wise choice to make under stress. Take your time and develop your plan. The next hat I remember wearing was something like this. This is from Watson, where my grandkids go to school, but I actually grew up in Sunset Acres in Shreveport. This is my athletic hat. Now, what did I learn from athletics? I learned team building. I'm sure that you've learned team building in the last few weeks as well. I learned that sometimes the agony of defeat builds more character than the thrill of the win. Would you agree with that? Anybody can be a winner, but staying graceful and staying sharp and going back and attacking it again after you've lost is a hard thing to do sometimes. So you learn that. I also learned you got to play by the rules. When I was about 12, 13 years old, I was always pretty much the biggest one in my class. They always expected a lot of me athletically, and I wasn't necessarily a good athlete, but I tried. We were playing for the city championship. Sunset Acres was playing in Warner Park. That was our rivals. And I got up to bat, believe it or not, 9th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs. You can't make this stuff up. I hit a home run at AC Steer Park. There wasn't a fence at AC Steer Park. So you could chase the ball as far as you wanted to chase it and run it back in. But when I rounded third base, the whole team was waiting on me at home plate. And they just piled on top of me. Next thing I knew, the umpire was calling me out because I hadn't touched home. I hadn't completed the course. I had not touched home plate. We wound up tying the game. We played extra innings. We wound up winning. But failing to touch home plate, failing to follow through completely with my commitment, failing to follow through with the rules of the game and the rules of life, nearly cost us the city championship. So you got to follow through with the rules of life. You got to be willing to pick it up and go again when you lose sometimes. I played football in high school. We had the first losing record Woodlawn High School had since they were opened in 1960. But we played hard, we enjoyed ourselves, and I still have lifelong friends that I have from there. Now the next hat that I remember wearing, I know my son and my daughter-in-law was out here, and I think my oldest daughter and her husband are supposed to be here. They probably laid like they already were. There they are back there in the back. They probably don't even know this. I've been working since I was 12 years old. I've not missed a paycheck either on Friday or the 1st or 15th since I was 12, and I'll be 61 in December. I thought I wanted to be a police officer. We wore a hat something like this, Caddo Sheriff's Department. Back then, Harold Terry was the sheriff, and you had to work as a reserve deputy in order to get on full-time with the Sheriff's Department. I was actually directing traffic in Greenwood at the Pioneer Day Festival when Chief Fouts called me and said Chief Green wanted to hire me on the Shreveport Fire Department. So sometimes you have to experiment and find what your niche in life is. And a group this big, unfortunately, there'll probably be 2 or 3 of you that quit the job. You don't think that now, you don't think that tonight, your loved ones don't think that. But maybe your calling is something else, and there's nothing to be ashamed about that. Firefighting, being a public servant, is certainly a call that you have to adhere to. Now the next hat that I remember wearing looks something like this. Do y'all have one of these? You don't have one of these? They didn't get one of these hats? Man, you talking about the women love these hats right now. You better get you one of these. First time anybody ever complimented me on this hat, I was standing in McDonald's, I was going to EMT class. This guy come up and he smelled like marijuana, and he said, man, that was a cool hat. Where did you get that? I said, I got it in Yearwood, but you're the only person I ever known thought that was a cool hat. What I learned while I wore this hat? I learned number one when I was in basic training. Believe it or not, 37 years ago, almost to the day, on the 14th of November, it'll be 37 years ago. And I sat not in the same place you sat. We didn't have nearly as elaborate a graduation. We graduated at the Training Academy, the same building that you spent your last few weeks at. Our spouses, our significant others came out. The fire chief came out. I think the mayor showed up. I don't really remember whether he did at the time. But what did I learn while I wore this hat? I reestablished the teamwork, how important teamwork is. I learned that I'll make lifelong friends at age 61 are still some of my best and closest friends I've ever had in my life, or ever will have in my life. We have what we call a Romeo Club. A lot of us are retired, old men eating out, Romeo. We meet about once a quarter. In fact, we meet next Tuesday. And we have some of the best fellowship you can ever imagine. All those guys that retired from the fire department, and we come out and we just have a meal together about once a quarter. We just have a really good fellowship. So you'll make lifelong friendships. I guarantee you the people that are in your class will be special to you for the rest of your life. What else did I learn? I learned you only get one opportunity to make a good first impression. I went to get hired. I went to visit Chief Green. I didn't have an appointment. I just showed up at his office. I had on my shoes shined. I bought a new suit of clothes. I've gone and got a fresh haircut. I got a fresh haircut for y'all tonight too, by the way. I went and got a fresh haircut, and I went in and I met him. And he looked me in the eye and he said, son, I don't have any room for you. I said, well, listen, here's my dilemma. I'm 24 years old. I got a wife that's 9 months pregnant. I got a daughter that's 3 years old, and I need a job. And I left there not thinking I was going to be hired by the Shreveport Fire Department. But I was out there directing that traffic. I got a call from Chief Fouts. He said, I don't know what you told Chief Green, but he wants to hire you. You only get the first chance to make a good first impression one time. You guys have already done that. You've gotten hired. But now you have to prove yourself to those citizens that you're going to serve for the rest of your career. You only get one chance to make a good first impression. I also learned that you are going to have the opportunity, like I did, to be the very first one that ever holds a newborn baby, or the very last one that someone holds or touches or talks to as they take their final breath as they leave this world. You'll have the opportunity to do that. I hope you have the opportunities that I've had to jump down in a trench and kick somebody out with your bare hands. And next thing you know, your fingernails are worn down to the quick, but you saved somebody. Rappel off of a building. You know, you did that during training. You think, will I ever get the opportunity to do that? Only once in my career, we made a save over at Homeland at the ordnance plant. A worker had fallen off the water tower over there and got to go over there and make that rescue. So you get to do a lot of those things that are exciting. Now I know we have a lot of occupations represented out in the audience, and I wouldn't slight anybody for anything in the world, but there's no better job than to be a firefighter. You're not going to be putting the same widget in the same hole all day long. You're not going to be dealing with numbers that may bore some of us day in and day out. You've got an exciting career ahead of you. And keep in mind, I want to challenge you to always make the Shreveport Fire Department your #1 priority. You're going to have the opportunity to get side jobs. Most everybody does anymore. Keep the Shreveport Fire Department as your #1 priority. Don't ever forget that the fire department should be that #1 priority, regardless of how successful you might be in your side endeavors. Now, the last thing I want to tell you about that I learned while I was wearing that particular hat was to always stay promotable. Always. Your training is not ever going to fail you. You're going to go back to that training every instance you respond to. But stay promotable. How do I stay promotable? Continue to educate yourself every opportunity you get, whether it be career-related or whatever it might be. Always keep yourself educated. Always keep yourself disciplined. You don't need to have a disciplinary record if you want to stay promotable. And the last thing is to always take opportunities to stretch yourself outside of the normal everyday box. In 1994, Chief Bo Roberts said, I need somebody to put blue markers out around fire hydrants. I put out 6,600 blue markers. I saw blue markers in my sleep for about 5 years after that. But little bitty things like that. The fire chief says, I need, take advantage, volunteer, make sure that they know who you are, stay promotable. Now, I never wore a captain's hat. Probably one of the biggest regrets in my career, but I stayed promotable. I went from driver to an assistant chief position because the fire chief knew who I was. I had continued to educate myself. I had volunteered for those services that some people didn't want to volunteer for. But I did ride out of class. And what did I learn as I rode out of class as a captain in the Shreveport Fire Department? I learned #1, not everybody's the same. I learned #2, that you don't ever try to make an eagle out of a duck. Some people are ducks and some people are eagles. Be a good duck. Do the best you can as a duck. If you get the opportunity to be an eagle, give it a try, but if it doesn't work, just be the best duck you can be. There was once a turkey. I knew I was going to digress from my little talk there. There once was a turkey who sat on the ground and he watched this eagle soar. And he thought, I sure would like to be able to soar like that eagle. So at one point, the eagle landed. He saw the turkey watching him, the eagle landed. And he said, the turkey said to him, I always wanted to soar. He said, I can teach you to soar. He said, there's no way, I'm a turkey, I can't soar. So he told him, he said, get him on top of the barn. So he got on top of the barn and pushed him off. And right before the turkey hit the ground, he flapped his wings and began to soar. So he soared all day long with the eagle. At the end of the day, he told the eagle that he thanked him so much for mentoring him and teaching him how to soar above what he thought he could do, what he was capable of, because he was nothing but a turkey. So he said, next Tuesday night at the turkey meeting, turkeys have a meeting on Tuesday nights. I don't know if you knew that or not. Along with the elks and the moose and everybody else, the turkeys have a meeting too. So at the turkey meeting, the turkey told the rest of the turkeys, I can teach you to soar. So he took them on top of the barn and pushed them off, and they soared like eagles all night long. They agreed that was the greatest turkey meeting they'd ever had. At the end of the night, they all walked home. Tonight, I hope that I encourage you. I want you to soar like an eagle. I don't want you to waddle home like a turkey. Take what we talked about here tonight, what the fire chief's going to follow up with after I'm through, and continue to soar. Continue to do what you've done. Continue to make those 100% on your test scores. Continue to be the very best that you can be, and continue to learn and to educate yourself. Now, the next half of the award, you can commandeer the Coast Guard fleet with that hat right there on the team. I got to be an assistant chief on the fire department when I was chief safety officer. I became responsible for the health and safety of 600 brother and sister firefighters. Make sure that they not only came home every day safe, but at the end of their career they came home and they enjoyed their retirement. That's an awesome responsibility. In 1996, I was able to negotiate with Willis Knight. And Chief, I'm not sure if they still offer free physicals or not, but I was able to negotiate with Mr. Elrod. The most from this hat was, it's not lonely at the top. People say it's lonely at the top. The fact is, if you take people with you, if you mentor people and you bring people that support you, and people that not necessarily have the same mindset you have, I never have liked a yes man. I always like somebody to challenge me. If think outside the box. So always keep in mind, it's not long at the top if you bring folks with you. The next hat that I wore looked a little something like this. This is my cancer hat. I have rectal cancer. It went away for a year and came back in April. I've been through 23 chemo treatments. I've been through 29 radiation treatment. I had radical colon surgery, left me with a permanent colostomy bag. I believe that my cancer, and I don't hold this against the Shreveport Fire Department in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Chief Scott will tell you that. We had that discussion years ago. I believe my cancer is job related. I didn't necessarily wear my personal protective equipment the way that I should have. I didn't exercise the way I should have. I didn't eat the way I should have. And I didn't go and get my physicals like I should have. So I want to challenge you to do those three things. Wear your personal protective equipment. Try to stay in shape. Try to eat as healthy as you can around the fire station. That's hard to do. I'll tell you about one thing that I did whenever I was wearing that blue hat. I learned to cook. And I learned to cook pretty good. I want to challenge you. How many of you cook? Let me see by show of hands how many of you cook. How many of you cook real good? Those of you that can't already cook, I want to challenge you to learn to cook 2 meals, only 2 meals, and cook them well. And you'll survive on the fire department. You're going to swing in the station where they'll say, it's your turn to cook tonight. If you got you a couple of meals, you can pull a rabbit out of your hat with, you'll be the most popular guy on the department, I guarantee you. One weekend I came in, it was a cold, rainy weekend, and my wife had fixed 15 bean soup at the house on Sunday afternoon. And man, that was the best meal I've had in a long time. She put a chunk of ham hock in there. Man, it was just so good. It was 15 beans. It comes in a 1 pound package. It'll make 16 servings in 1 pound. So I got to the fire station. There were 22 men on a shift at Central Fire Station. I got on the speaker and I said, we're having 15 bean soup tonight. Who wants to count it in? Well, they're firemen. They won't count it in. So I get all 22 of us going to eat 15 bean soup. I get to Kroger's on North Market. They don't have no 15 bean soup. I got 21 other men expecting me to cook 15 bean soup. That puts some pressure on you guys, let me tell you. So I went over to the bean aisle and I looked and there was 11 different kinds. Dry beans in 1 pound package. If you look on the back of them packages, that'll feed 164 people. I said half a pound of man, that's the way we figure our meat at the fire station, a half a pound of beans. So I bought 11 pounds of dry beans. Greg Fulco, you were there. You witnessed it. If I tell anything that ain't the truth, you jump up and say amen, okay? I took them 11 pounds of beans and I poured them into that sink and I filled it with water and I started washing all the grit out of it. Man, it was pretty. It was green and black and brown and yellow and white and every color you could think of, spectrum. My captain come in there and he said, what is that? I said, that's 11 bean soup. He said, when are we going to eat it? I said, for supper. Now keep in mind, we were leaving 4 in the afternoon. I've been to the grocery store. It's about 6 o'clock in the evening. He said, tonight? I said, yep. He said, there ain't no way you can cook them beans fast enough. I said, my wife did it last night. Well, I didn't know my wife soaked in beans. Always soak your beans, guys. We had a commercial type stove. I took a 5-gallon boiler. I filled it about half full of water and I put 11 pounds of beans in there. You got no clue how long it takes to boil 2.5 gallons of water with 11 pounds of beans in it. When they started to boil, they started to swell. So I got on the speaker and I said, I need some help in the kitchen. He didn't know how much help I needed. Joe Rice come in there and he got another 5-gallon bucket. We poured her half full, we split them beans. I'll shorten the story up. We had 15 gallons of beans. So about 8:30, Kevin come in, he said, what time are we going to eat? I said, about 15 minutes. He come in about 8:45. He said, what time are we going to eat? I said, about 15 minutes. At 9 o'clock, he said, let's eat. So I got on the speaker and I said, go get your safety glasses. Go down to the truck, get your safety glasses. They come up and said, what do we need safety glasses for? I said, the beans are still raw. When you go try to stick a fork in them, they're going to hit you in the eyes. So that's why they're safety glasses. So we tried to eat them 11 pounds of beans. And old Central Fire Station had a big dormitory type bedroom. There was about 11 of us 22 guys slept in one big old bedroom, no partition, no wall, no nothing. I'm not going to go into details about the sounds being emitted from that bedroom. But when the bell hit at 7 o'clock the next morning, the light come on, and it looked like 10 pregnant men laying there. There ain't enough Dino in the world to take care of little tiny babies, I can tell you that. But learn to cook something, learn to cook it well. Now the next hat that I wore, the Homeland Security hat, we already talked, Chief Lane read you my bio. I had the opportunity, when I got ready to retire from the fire department, I looked at what potential there was for me, and I prayed for 5 things. And I'm being human, I said to God, if you give me 3 of those 5 things, I'll know it's right. So we prayed about it, and lo and behold, I got all 5 of those 5 things. So I didn't call my wife and tell her I was retiring. I went to Chief Cochran, who was the fire chief at the time. I said, Chief, how long do you need to replace me? He said, give me a month. I said, I'll give you 90 days. I went home and told my wife, so I'm changing careers. She said, well, you must have got 3 of the 5 things. I said, no, I got all 5 of them. And God has continued to bless me in the positions I've been in as a Homeland Security Director at Cattle Bogus Parishes, and now working for the Governor's Office out in Baton Rouge. When the job played out here in Cattle Parish, I found myself without a job. The phone rang one day, it was the director in Baton Rouge, and he said, would you like to come to work for me? I said, I'd love to come to work for you, but I don't care a thing in the world about living in Baton Rouge. He said, look, if you could work out of your house. You got my attention, pal. So God has blessed me, continues to bless me, and will continue to bless me as long as I seek His guidance and everything we do. And I'd like to challenge you guys to do that as well throughout your career. Now, one thing that I learned while I was wearing these hats was, and you'll be challenged by it as well, the other man's grass is not always greener. The other man's grass may be greener. You may think it's greener, but actually the grass is greener when you nurture it, where you take care of it, you keep it cut, you keep it fertilized, you keep it watered. Now, I'm not talking about grass, guys, I'm talking about relationships. Whether it be relationships with your spouse, whether it be relationships with your family, or whether it be relationships with your co-workers. You have to nurture that relationship in order for it to grow, in order for it to stay green. And trust me, the other man's grass is no greener than what you got, as long as you nurture those relationships. Now, you have to be careful sometimes, because folks won't always have on a hat that they truly represent. FEMA, Region 6, which covers this part of the United States, I did a lot of work for them, so they gave me a FEMA hat. During Katrina, we were moving commodities all over the United States. And one morning, we had some commodities that needed to be moved from shelter A to shelter B in Shreveport, and the truck driver said, I've been told to go to shelter A, and I'm not going anywhere until FEMA tells me to move that truck. I went over to where Mr. Truck Driver was. I knocked on the door. He got up out of the sleeper. I didn't tell him I was with FEMA. I didn't lie to him, boys. You understand what I'm talking about? I said, I need that truck moved from here to over yonder. He said, yes, sir. So you can't always trust the hat that somebody has on. Somebody's going to be honest with you, okay? Now, the next hat that I wore looks a little something like this. Right. It's important that for the rest of your life, you keep your work and your personal life in balance. Keep it in balance, guys. Work hard, play hard. Play hard, work hard. Stay dedicated to the Shreveport Fire Department, but don't forget to take time out for yourself and for your family. And how important it is that you balance that life with work and you balance it with pleasure. Take time to spend time with your family. Find something you enjoy doing so well that you do it for free, and eventually somebody will pay you to do it. Chief Scott, I usually get $5,000 for this talk. Me and you'll be negotiating here in a little bit. Now, the last hat that I want to put on tonight is this hat. I've had some serious responsibilities in my lifetime, but I've never allowed myself to be serious enough that I stress myself out or I worry. You gotta have time to have a little fun. You gotta be, not be afraid to make fun of yourself, not be afraid to have a good time. Like I told you earlier, you're entering into what I believe to be the greatest career any man or woman could ever get into, and that's the fire service. And I truly believe the Shreveport Fire Department is right at the top of that. Even on its worst day, it's the best job a man could ever have, the best job a woman could ever have. So don't ever forget that, but don't take yourself so seriously. And I want to close with a couple of thoughts. Number one is, whether you got on your uniform or not, you'll always be a firefighter. If you stop by the Circle K to buy you a Big Gulp on the way home, if somebody's in distress, guess who they're going to look to? If you got on anything at all that says I'm a fireman, trust me, they're going to come to you. My son has a shirt, he's a paramedic on the job. He has a shirt that says, I'm not a doctor, but I'll take a look. The last thing that I want to leave you with is this thought. Two things, actually. Number one, Ella Wilcox wrote a poem in 1847, and it goes like this. There's two kinds of people in the world today. Just two kinds, no more, I say. Not the good or the bad, for it's well understood that the good are half bad and the bad are half good. But the two kinds of people in the world I mean are those that lift and those that lean. You got a job where you're responsible for lifting folks in their baddest, the worst times they'll ever have. Whether it be a fire, whether it be an EMS call, whether it be that little old lady that's called you 20 times a shift because she's falling out of bed. Remember, you always got to be a lifter and never a leaner. Now, you know it's physically impossible to kiss your own elbow? It's physically impossible to kiss your own elbow. In a 20-year study of 18,000 ostriches, not a single ostrich ever stuck their head in the sand. Not one. 50% of the people in the world have never made or received a telephone call. That sounds impossible to us. We all got cell phones in our pocket. But think about our third world countries. 50% of the people. And tonight, before we go to bed, 75% of this group, and 75% of this group, and 75% of this group will try to kiss your elbow. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I really appreciate it.